Hey, Abby, can you hear us okay?
Good morning, I can hear you.
Good morning. Okay, well, let's go ahead and we'll call this meeting to order. I did. Thank you. Was it a bad wreck? Okay. Oh, yeah. Jen, will you do roll call, please?
Mike Dawson, Tom McDonald,
Here.
Jennifer Finley. Here. Jim Molitor, Carol Langford, Danielle Matt, Bing Matt, James Steele Jr., Martin Charlo,
Present.
Len Tutti.
Thank you, Jen. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with the prayer. I don't know which direction we're going, but James, will you lead us in prayer? Thank you.
Yesu Kali. Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for our beautiful homeland, our beautiful reservation. We ask for your prayers upon our elders, our loved ones, and anyone that's sick and in the hospital. We ask for prayers for family members that are traveling back for a lost loved one. We ask that you guide our meeting today. Help us to make the best decisions possible for our people. Amen.
Much, James. Okay, first order of business, we have minutes from January 30th for your consideration.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, I emailed, emailed a change on my comment in the middle there, page 1. James Steele Jr. commented on the huge economic impact that the tribes have on the reservation and Western Montana economy. And I emailed that to Abby.
Okay, thank you.
All right, motion to approve with corrections.
Right. Motion by Len.
I'll second it, but I'm wondering if we should we add more on that or not on the vertical bridge? It's not really saying what that is, but
I mean, like add parentheses radio tower.
maybe.
I think it's also what they call a mimic a tree. So it's a tree tower. You call it a tree.
Camouflage tower.
Yeah. Radio tower. It's a cell tower.
Should we add something in there? Or we're okay?
Or maybe it's just me. I'll second the motion.
Okay, motion by Len, a second by James, approve the January 30th minutes with corrections. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all's in favor? 6-4, I'm abstaining since I wasn't here. All right, we'll go on to today's agenda. Do we have any additions to the agenda? Any walk-ins? Niche? Any other topics? Want to add? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve today's agenda. Motion by Jennifer. Second by Danielle. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous. All right. And the first one's easy too, right? No, I'm not going to vote for it. Good morning, sir. Okay, just push the button on the mic. Abby can record it real well.
Yes, this is for the April disbursement.
Motion by Jennifer to approve the April 3rd, 2024 per capita disbursement. Second by Len. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all's in favor? Unanimous?
I appreciate you guys.
I mean, it's amazing you even had to say a word, darling. Man, good job. That's the way, make them all easy like that all day. All right, how quick that is. We're way ahead of schedule. Get out of here. Just footnote, I did turn over the information I shared with you yesterday about the Tribal Agricultural Fund to Rick. So he'll be looking at that. There could be a couple different options we could look at for that, but it looked to me like a guarantee. He said that we had looked at, especially Pete White had looked at that funding before because it's related to the short change that tribal individual farmers and ranchers were not allowed to the same access for loans as regular folks out there. And so this whole fund was set up to try to compensate individual tribal farms and ranches and to mitigate for those lost opportunities for 5 or 6 years. So anyway, we should be able to get a proposal in. Yeah, go ahead, Len.
I just wanted to mention about the EDK crop insurance that was presented to us here earlier. I know at one time they emailed us and wanted to invite us down and do another presentation. I think this is something that we should look or engage in. This is a good opportunity for us. And looking at how the other tribes have been rewarded from this, but I know they invited us down, and I think it's down in Scottsdale. They were going to pay for 2 representatives to go down. So I'll share that email with the entire council, but I would be interested in going down again.
Thanks, Len. I know that looked like there's probably an opportunity for the bison range for sure to be looked like that might pay for itself in an average year.
So I know that we did look at, CKP came in, we went with this other group too, just to get some more options out there. We shared the information with them from our office, the same information that we gave CKP. And I did see that they did invite council down for that. But yeah, I think it's an opportunity for us to be looking at multiple different avenues. Bison range, it just all depends on which tower systems they're going off of, but it could be beneficial when we were looking at them. When CKP gave us their information for the tower stuff and how it tracks out, we wanted them to really take a good look at west of the river and potentially the Bison Range all in general, but nothing really this side because of the snowpacks. And it did look like it might be beneficial to have half the reservation put in. That would cover any of the stuff that would trigger with the Bison Range instead of the Bison Range standalone. So I know there was different options on all these, so we were looking at multiple different levels of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, makes sense to go for the low precip area, west of the river. Over in God's country. Hog Heaven, Paradise.
Yep.
Okay, you guys are up?
Alrighty, Trevor Lands has the request, we have a business leave request from Tony Undum, to waive performance bond. Tony Undum is, on the raceway board out at Pablo Raceway. He's requesting a waiver of the $5,000 performance bond. Tony has a 5-year business lease right now on track 7035 for the auto racing activities, along with food, beverage, and concessions. Rent is at the sum of 10% of the gate fees right now for this first 5 years, just to make sure that it's going to be operational and functioning. So far, we have been able to gather 19 roughly $1,000 from the raceway and rentals. It all depends on their racing activities, how many races there are for the year. We started doing them as a percentage back in COVID. When we lifted COVID, they only had a few races. So we did a gate rate. So that was all done. Then we were looking at the 5-year business lease. So vendors could come in. So sponsors for the race to help out with any costs for the races. He's done a lot of repairing out there. He's built extra stands for more seating. He's created some VIP sections, and has increased the amount of people, the capacity for the raceway. So with the improvements that he's been doing on here, as you can see on the screen, he's installed new safety walls. He's done concrete slabs. He's actually expanded the parking area. He spent ample money on the metal siding of the buildings as well to upgrade it to get a better facelift on it. He'll be installing new safety catch fences at the end of the track. Doesn't have an exact quote yet. So with all the improvements on top of the rental that he has been paying, we feel at the lands department that to approve the waiver of the bond, but that is a council action for all of the work that he's done in the last, I want to say 4 years that he's had it, 5 years. He's done a lot of improvements. Our revenues for rental have went up every year. And right now he ended up bringing in the Montana 200 in there, and he's getting a lot more races because some of the racetracks have went down. So they have been coming here. So he's been getting a lot of Canadians and Washingtonians and Montanians to come out racing. So he's increased the revenue for them and everything that's been going on. Tony was also requesting that he wanted to have a new CSKT flag on the track and who to get contact with for the first race of the year for an honor song and a flag song for the track. And he wants to invite council. So he's been doing a really good job out there for us. So the waiver, we felt that was it could benefit them out there just to waive it because of all the improvements that he's doing.
Question, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, go ahead, James.
So no fights, no disagreements or nothing? Everybody's,
They're playing nice so far.
oh, gosh.
It's not the same.
15 years ago, it was like I had to have one group in that room and one group out here. Try to get them to work together. So that is
Yeah, he,
to
he's
my
done a lot of
ears.
good out there.
That's music to my ears, cause I remember we had them just.
And I know in the past too, that he's actually he didn't redo the blacktop, but he did paint it, you know, get the sealant on it, to improve the raceway. He's done work on the pits. He actually even was talking about presenting a business plan too, to actually open that up into where the pits could be available for the, out-of-staters and everything to have their campers there and actually pay an extra fee for recreation for campsites. So we were looking at that also as another expansion to the,
So
Actual site.
It's a 5-year lease.
yeah.
And he's currently in what year of a 5-year lease?
Oh, let's see, it just started, 2 year, I think this is the 3rd year of his lease, could be the 2nd year of his lease.
So for the lease, it's a $5,000 performance bond for the entire term of the lease?
Yes,
And so they already posted the bond?
right, and he's just wanting to know if he can waive it for.
He wants to
upcoming-
use the 5,000 for something else?
Yeah. Because he's got, I want to say the lease started in 22. And I believe that's when the lease just came active, the full 5-year term one. The performance bond has came in because we were having some legal and everything going through that contract to get it all approved. With the shuffle of all the superintendents also at the time, every time that we'd get it close to signature from superintendent, it was a new superintendent, so we'd have to start with a new superintendent that would review it. So the performance bond may be due right now, but the insurance and everything is current, and his rentals are paid currently. He's paid the amounts of money to the tribes without it being put into the accounts. We've been working with Tony and Greg on this one to get it all up to par, to make sure everything, all the payments are done. So we have everything's in place. It was just the contractual stuff. So that might be right now where the performance bond is lacking. Tara is actually on vacation this week, so I believe that's where the performance bond part is.
So revenue for 2023 for their gate receipts was how much to the tribes?
That one was a little over $10,000, I believe. And our standard rental rate on it was,
What is
10.
our, can you tell me this, Mark? Maybe you probably can't, but and I assume that there's cost to this for the tribes to be able to have this raceway on our insurance.
all liability falls onto them. We have our standard for the structure in that insurance, but all of the revenue that comes from that, they take the liability for their $3 million insurance policy. Does not fall on us at all. Just the standard.
So we've never settled a case out there,
Nope. We've never had.
even with the accident with the death?
Yep, it's all underneath the, contract holder of the lease.
Okay, so we can't attribute any extra cost to our overall tribal insurance policy because of the raceway?
It's just, whatever the facility is worth, when they go out and do the improvements or anything, that's the only thing that's on our insurances for the buildings.
Is there any collaboration between him and the Quatucknuck as far as overnight stays or lodging or?
I know that he had reached out with them and was trying to, just a lot of the racers that do come in that have their cars and everything on their trailers, they don't have the capacity to have it for parking up there. But I do know that some of the clients that go out there to watch the races and that the family members of these racers and stuff have stayed at the Quatucknuck at other hotels too in the general vicinity. He did reach out to us and was even talking about wanting to see if there could be a shuttle ran from the Quatucknuck even out to the races to support the events.
Is he doing any electric car racing?
Not yet. He has talked about it. He's also talked about even in the winter months, if we have ample snow in that, to do the tracked motorbikes and snowmobile racing and stuff like that. That he's been looking into doing some of those types of things. So that's more active during the entire year instead of just the spring, summer and fall.
I know at least for one of these requests, you can let him know that he can purchase a tribal flag at Property and Supply.
Oh, then he'll do that as long as he knows where to go.
Yeah,
Just make sure to have exact cash, no cards. Yeah, I went out there and tried to use a card and, oh, we gotta go have get cash, so back to Ronan, get cash and back out to Property and Supply, yeah.
can you write a personal check? No checks? Cash only. At Delphine, I tell you.
I don't, maybe
Any other questions besides mine? James? So this would be a waiver for just this year or for the rest of the lease?
It'll be for the rest of the contractual period, and then after that, when the new lease comes up, then the negotiations for rental. I had talked with Tara on it too about renegotiating the contractual on it where it is more of a lump sum payment at the start of the season and then a smaller door percentage throughout the year, just to cover that cost. So we are guaranteed the payment to cover any kind of administration stuff on our side.
And so the issue of people spending the night there in their campers, they're
And
not
then that
doing
will
that,
be-
it's been taken care of.
Yep, then we're gonna be negotiating that with him too. And working with Recreation on that, how we go about doing that correctly with them. Because we don't want it to be utilized year round except for during events. So they're not having to patrol extra.
Danielle?
I'm just looking at the rental rate on this. That's a big parcel out there, and at 10,000 annual revenue for us, it's $833 a month. I don't think you can operate a business anywhere on or off the reservation for that low of a monthly rental rate. Are we really asking enough for that lease?
That was discussed when we were doing this, due to the history out there. And when Mr. Undum did take this over just pre-COVID, we were having that issue. We did get stiffed, the tribes did, from the past two lessees on there. So we looked at it, the first year that he did his races, he actually did put the $10,000 up out of his own money just to hold the races. Just didn't get a lot of races, so we looked at other options. But the thing is, we know that right now that $10,000 pay probably isn't adequate, but they need to build up their clientele and their racers to get to the point where it's beneficial to everybody.
I guess I would suggest an annual minimum, because at 10% say he doesn't race at all this year, we may get nothing out of it. So
Correct.
I think there needs to be a minimum put in place.
That's what we discussed with the superintendent also and amongst our office. As of right now, it was just what we're trying to do is just establish it right now. So he's got so many races already lined up this year to be doing the races. So that's where we were at, trying to get him to be beneficial for the tribes and get it promoted so we can get more revenue coming in the long run. It's just that it had such a bad, it's a track, so no pun intended, bad track record. Where, as Councilman Steele said, that there were fights, people weren't getting paid, and sorts of stuff like that were happening. They were guaranteed a certain purse that was going to come from the races, and then when the races were happening, that purse was never paid out correctly. So he's had a uphill battle just to get this functioning again, and it's shown he's turned the corner where it's starting to get more and more races and more racers.
And I completely enjoy going out to the track, so I support their business endeavors. I just want to make sure we're getting what we need as far as our business end.
Yeah, and then we also looked at, in the upcoming contract, when this one expires out, is that we do the CPI annual adjustment on it to make sure we're getting the fair market revenue per month.
Any other questions? Sounds like we definitely want to revisit when the lease expires.
Correct.
So if they were to have events and they decided not to give us any percentage of their gates, it would have come out of that $5,000 performance bond.
Or yes, and or if it's gonna be coming out of if they didn't do any of the upgrades in that they were supposed to be scheduled for. So like the safety catch fence, that would come out of that also. We have taken that in consideration at the lands department. Over the percentage wise on it, we do have them underneath their provisions and that they have to do this. We do know it's a risk on the tribes about the minimum rent payment right off the start. That was a big question of ours too. Should we do this or shouldn't we even present it like this? Right now with them increasing, they went to a computerized system where it's all tracked with all tickets being sold when they come through. So we actually have printouts of every race of how many people attended so we can get that fair market on it.
Any other questions? Martin did it? Okay, Martin makes the motion for option one. Second by James. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all is in favor? 5, 6, 4, 1 against. Danielle opposes. Motion carried. Tell them to bring cash. Property supply.
Cash, exact amount. Well, thank you.
Tell them to buy 2.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair and Council. And Daniel, we're still on at 3 o'clock Thursday? Okay.
All right, next up is Mark. No, the other Mark.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead,
That
Danielle.
motion to approve by Martin looks like it was at 9:17 a.m. I'm not sure it was in reference to the last thing we just voted on.
Oh, sorry. Well, he voted thumbs up. Yeah,
I'll make the motion.
there you go. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you.
Above this thing is one of my secret hunting spots.
Copy for you. Okay. Good morning, Mr. Vice Chair, members of council. I'm seeking to get approval to award a contract to Dick Anderson Construction, who was the low bidder on the Falls Creek replacement or rehabilitation project. The little packet that was passed out, I know we usually come in and ask for things and don't provide a lot of visuals, so I thought some good reference material this morning would be in order as to where this project is. About 14 miles southeast of St. Ignatius. And it's up above the Twin Lakes area. You can see on the first couple pages, the maps kind of reference the location. It's a remote location, real small site. next couple pages, there's pictures of the current diversion and the condition it's in. It's another one of these 1925 installations that's at the end of its life cycle. So we had WWC Engineering out of Helena design a new diversion, and that would be on the last page of the packet, a drawing of what is proposed to be built. Nice box culvert design, open top with a steel grizzly bar structure on the top of it. One of the main purposes of this rehab, other than the fact it's fallen apart, is for sediment control. Things coming down Falls Creek right now with the current diversion, sedimentation does occur down into the North Fork of the Jocko. This design here will greatly improve upon and reduce that sedimentation to the river, which is considered to be bull trout habitat. And this sits right on the Tabor feeder canal, ties into the Tabor tunnel. So that'll be a nice project to get off the list. There's a rated section downstream, I guess you could say, of the diversion, a weir for water measurement and control, provide FIP with better understanding of how much water they're running down the Tabor feeder, so they don't have to take quite as much water at the North Fork diversion system. In letting this bid out, it was a public bid that was advertised. We got 3 bids submitted to us. Dick Anderson Construction was the low bid at $2,414,460, which was about almost 4% over what the engineer's estimate of construction was estimated to be, but right in there. Did get bids also from a Mike Coleman Construction out of Dillon and Rabine Enterprises out of Plains. There was initially thought to be a possibility that Rabine Enterprises would be offered the opportunity to match the low bid. They submitted a Indian preference certificate and they were within the 10% of the low bid, but the certificate that they presented did not match the name on all of their bid documents. So they have multiple businesses, I guess, that they're a part of. All their bid docs were Rabine Enterprises Incorporated, but the name on the preference certificate was Montcal. And so we excluded the preference points off of their bid packet due to the fact that it was incorrect. I did consult with both the Indian Preference Office and the legal department about that, and it was agreed that that should be the way it was handled. So our low bidder went back to being Dick Anderson Construction, and WWC did a review of their bid packet and found everything to be sufficient and correct, I guess, to accept their bid. So said that's why I'm here today, is to ask approval to award the contract to Dick Anderson Construction.
Thank you, Mark. That's a pretty thorough review. Just one question in talking with and I don't know if this is a consideration in the awarding of the contracts or not, but Indian preference as far as any issues with Dick Anderson Construction, any contracting they had with us before?
Previous contracts, we have not had any problems with Dick Anderson Construction. They've always kept up on trying to keep the standards of the Indian Preference Office. held, so, yep.
Any other questions from council? Yeah, go ahead, Len.
When is the project set to start and when are they gonna close the road?
So in the EA, the date was selected to be July 15th as a start date. With the current snowpack level, we are rethinking that a little bit and hoping to get in there July 1st to give the contractor adequate time to demolish the structure and get the new one built. It's a very important piece of the main canal, so we wanna give them as much opportunity for success as we can. As far as the road being closed, it would be from Twin Lakes up to the Falls Creek diversion site because they have to remove the current bridge that's there. And they're gonna install box culvert under the road.
Okay,
So that would be in that July timeframe.
that's just the canal road, right?
Yep.
Yes, sir. Any other questions? Go ahead, Danielle.
So I went up there in the fall. Is that bridge back in place then up at the top there when you go up the canal road before you? Right above this?
The
or-
North Fork Bridge up at the very top.
Yeah, is that bridge back in place?
Yep, that's got a whole new bridge structure in place
Okay.
currently.
And are there any easements or anything like that that we've got to get before we move forward with the project?
Oh, we're good to go.
All right.
I have a motion by Martin to approve the low bid with Dick Anderson for the Falls Creek Diversion Rehabilitation Project. Second by Bing. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all's in favor? Unanimous? Thank you, Mark.
I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, the other Mark. We'll mark that one as done. There. Go ahead, there, Bing.
Mark, before you leave, it says on here that these, concretes are gonna be, culverts are gonna be 10 by 7. Is that gonna be, is that wide enough? Cause I think that canal bed right now is a little wider than that, isn't it? Yeah, I was just wondering here, cause that canal is a little bit wider than, I thought it was a little bit wider than 10 feet.
Thank you, Mark. All right, next up is Patty.
Good morning. So I have two things I want to bring to council today. First up is the invite that came on January 29th. You'll see the letter there about the upcoming House Bill 872 meeting. So a little bit of information about House Bill 872. It was passed earlier this year, and it is a commission that is looking at $300 million, focusing on mental health and disability services. So it was really set aside for this commission to look at model programs, where the issues are in the state, and to look at improve those processes. I've been tracking House Bill 872. I've attended 2 meetings personally and been on 2 others on Zoom. We did ask for a meeting to be set aside specifically based on American Indian issues in Montana. And they have granted that. That meeting's coming up on March 5th. And that's what this is inviting, council to participate in.
I
Go
would,
ahead, Jennifer.
yeah, I would definitely love to participate in this and attend this meeting.
Right. We would like to, if we could, have at least 2 council members attend. I'll put together a complete briefing paper and spend some time kind of giving you some of the talking points. You'll look at the agenda. It begins on March 3rd, the evening before. There will be a social from 6 to 8. The meeting itself is Tuesday, March 5th. The real key is those particular 4 buckets of information: continuum of care, workforce, social determinants of health, and cultural integration. Of course, all of those are huge topics with many subtopics attached to it. But that's the way the meeting is organized. And as they approach each of those buckets or those topics, then there'll be 10 minutes for each tribe to respond. So kind of in round robin fashion. The day after, well, and here's how they've set up a seating chart for attendees. I think it's been edited. They have added urban programs to this. The next page is I put together kind of a 3-page primer on House Bill 872, so you have the full information. Again, the tribal needs meeting is going to be March 5th. There will be a next House Bill 872 commission meeting coming on March 28th and 29th in Havre. It is focused on workforce development and adult behavioral health. I'm working with the state and SKC to serve on a panel for workforce issues. And then the next American Indian Health Leaders meeting is going to be March 18th and 19th in Fort Pack. I think the real guts here for the March 5th meeting is that everybody knows it is an open meeting. So all state meetings are open meetings unless they're called in executive session. This is an open meeting, so anyone can attend. If we have tribal members that would give good testimony, there will be time to give testimony about their own personal experience on these issues during that time. So we may want to consider asking particular tribal members to attend to provide that if they're so willing. The meeting also will be available on Zoom, so all of the commission meetings are on Zoom. I also provided you who the commissioners are, and those will be the other people along with the key individuals from the Montana State Department of Health and Human Services will be at the table with the tribal leaders. And then the last page just gives a little bit more information about the 300 million in House Bill 872. I think our goal is really to make sure that tribes are getting some of these dollars, and our other goal is to get the state to set some of these funds aside for the residential treatment center or the healing center that we're working on collectively with the other tribes. And thank you, Councilwoman, to be willing to go. If there's another council person that would like to go, I'd like to spend some time with you in the next few weeks just to get you prepped.
Is there another volunteer?
Off the record, but I met Bob Keenan's sister at a dinner party.
Good.
Yeah, he's from the East Coast. I met her at a dinner party in Martha's Vineyard. Anyway, I know a sister.
Well, hopefully yeah.
I'd be
Danielle?
willing to go. We do have language conference right after that, so I'd be out the whole week, but I'd be happy to attend.
Great, I'll follow up with you.
Council consensus to have Jen and Danielle represent? Nice drive to Great Falls. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. And then the last document just gives more information on what are the commission's priorities themselves. So I just want to make sure you had plenty of background information. And then the other reason that I'm here today is to ask council to pass resolution. You'll see a resolution regarding Red Shield 8 nations. I also provided you with some background information, resolution 22087, that was passed last year by council. That particular resolution passed by council last year really allowed CSKT to be at the table to work with the other tribes in the state of Arizona to come together and to form what we're calling the Regional Healing Center, which is a drug and alcohol treatment center for tribal members in the state of Montana. The two people who were designated to lead those efforts for CSKT are myself and Dr. Fox from Tribal Health. Dr. Fox is really overseeing the treatment modality within the development. I'm overseeing more of the policies and the process piece. In a American Indian Health Leaders meeting about a month and a half ago, there was discussion about how to organize this particular center. Our consultants had done a lot of footwork and looking at where can we gather the most, where can we look to find funds at the highest level to create this center and to fund it in the long run, along with our Medicaid payments, et cetera, for those that are attending. It was determined that the best way for this organization to form is as a tribal nonprofit. So it allows us to access funds that are American Indian based, and then it allows us to also look at funds designated for nonprofits. So we're able to dip into both buckets as we create that development. In that research, there were two tribes that clearly had a process for the development and support as a tribal nonprofit. As a not tribal nonprofit, you have to be attached to a tribe. Those two tribes that had outlined processes were CSKT and Fort Peck. When our consultants looked deeper into those processes, CSKT's process is really designed to support tribal members and tribal efforts in development of a nonprofit, where Fort Peck's process was more open. Because this is going to be a function that is going to be led by all tribes, and for instance, not just CSKT, the planning committee determined that we should incorporate under Fort Peck's law and not CSKT. So that's what this resolution in front of you does. It approves that incorporation under Fort Peck's law for the development of Red Shield 8 Nations, which is the name of the Regional Healing Center. And then also approves the articles of incorporation that are the next document behind the resolution. Both documents have been reviewed by legal, and they approved them as I've given them to you. So any questions I can answer?
Questions from council?
So you need action on the resolution.
Correct.
I'd make a motion to approve the resolution.
Motion by James to approve the resolution establishing founding membership to the Red Shield 8 Nations Incorporated, seconded by Danielle. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all is in favor? Martin?
I'm in favor, sorry.
Okay. Unanimous?
Thank you.
Thanks, Patty.
I'll also just give one brief update as to where the planning process is. We most recently contracted with Seven Directions, which is an architectural firm out of Seattle. He is a Crow tribal member. He's also the architect that was on the Payne Center at the University of Montana. He's done a lot of architectural work out at Crow, and then has done 3 treatment centers over for tribes in Washington. So we feel he has a lot of good background on the development of a treatment center and really bringing in all of those cultural elements from different tribes into the building process. Yes.
Have we decided the location?
Great question. We have not decided the location. That's one of the first things that's within his contract, is to look at the location. I will say our other contractor has done some kind of footwork about location, looking at where we might be able to find the greatest level of staffing, looking at pricing of land and building facilities within different urban communities in Montana, focusing on Billings, Great Falls, Helena, Missoula, et cetera. So some of that footwork was done. Also at one of the American Indian Health Leaders, there were several tribes that had come forward and said, if it was to be built on tribal lands, we would like it to be at CSKT. They felt that CSKT, our lands had the healing properties there. I did bring it to council, had a discussion with council, and council entertained that possibility. So as he begins to look at locations, we'll make sure he has conversation with council and lands. So you can determine what land you might donate as a tribe to this process, as one of the options. But right now there is no firm designation where it is going to sit. Great question.
Jennifer?
Yeah, I just have one comment. Thank you for all your work on this, Patty. I would guess that our reservation has the highest representation of Indians from other tribes, I think, compared to other reservations. You know, when I was teaching in Rocky Boy, there weren't a lot of people from other tribes. But I think our tribe has a really high number of people from other tribes living here. So if there was a center here, it would have the greatest reach, not only for us, but for also from other tribes. They live here.
I would agree with that comment. That's what we're hearing also from the other tribes is there are, they have a great representation within our boundaries.
Thank you, Patty.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Me too. Jennifer? Jen?
Chelsea is online and this needs to go into executive.
Okay, we bumped up the
Yes.
lake thing
Yes.
for ahead of schedule, okay. We'll go into executive session. I think everybody in here is okay.